And I think we kind of, when we are put on a screen, we kind of become almost like a figment of other people's imaginations. And I'm not saying that that doesn't happen in real life either, but I think it's just more likely to happen, and it makes people reluctant to be on the internet because of deep fakes or anything else like that. But I wanted to be able to talk a little bit about what I think about the AI stuff. And I could absolutely be wrong, but I hope that I'm not just saying this stuff out of ignorance. I've worked for HBO Max, AMC, Shudder. I am a professional artist, and I have been a professional artist and animator for the past 8 years. You know, there's international awards and national awards, and I just wanted to add something maybe more hopeful. I'm not saying I know the future, but I am a Christian, and I do believe that even if you can't see it now, I do believe that God has something good for us, even if we can't see it yet. I think that there's a reason that we're being pressure squeezed right now with this whole AI stuff, and I just think, regardless, even whether they're suffering or whether it is all positive things, I do believe that there is a work to be done on our souls, and I think that God's gonna use what He's gonna use to make us better people if we just seek Him during the hard times. And so basically what I wanted to say, hold on. I have it on my phone. So I wrote that maybe the internet as we know it is a place where thieves come to die. Basically, if the internet's ends, where, just AI slop generation, or bots, etc. It's like, well, maybe the real people leave to do something of value somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, if the internet is ejecting the real, well, the real are just gonna go somewhere else to do something else. The real has to. I think it's a junction point. We're at a junction. I think that's the word. But I think that we're at a junction where a lot of people are kind of quitting out or not. They're deciding that they're just kind of giving up because they say, like, what is the point in doing any of it? But I think that this is where Christians can see that there is a point, that we all have a purpose, that we all have a meaning, that is intrinsic to us, whether you are aware of it or not. And of course, when you're a Christian and you're a child of God, then you know that you're here for a reason, and you know that you're here to learn. A lot of people say, what's the reason? And the reason that we're here is to grow in faith in Jesus Christ. And so, personally, I don't really see anything as real. I just know that God brings people where He wants to bring them at the time that He wants to bring them, and that this place is a place of testing and trials and stuff like that. So many different trials come up in our lives. And so it sounds like to me that the real is being rejected on the internet, right? The real is being ejected from the world of the internet. And the internet has become kind of like a filter machine of electric dreams, I guess you can say, right? So like it's rendered useless. It's kind of like it came full circle, right? So like the things that we could see in our heads, we were then able to, as the development of the computer came along, we were able to make those things look realer do many real life things using the internet. But it's almost like, because if the internet is going to go into this AI slot bots thing, then it's almost like, and nothing's real. To the point where nothing is real and you can't trust anything. It's almost like, well, it might as well be the thoughts in your head. Then it might as well just be as useful as that. If you can get it so easy like that, you're not really making anything of value or anything of substance. So where can we find the value and where can we find the substance? Well, I guess we can't find it on the internet. We just have, because it's kind of like a person's imagination. So we might as well just go back into the real world and the real life, So it's like the internet's fullest inception then is as useful as an imagination. And so I'm just praying that these ideas are at least sort of like a redirection, some type of redirection, and maybe the tangible will return to having more value. So like the physical world, physically meeting up, physically having friends. I'm praying, and I know that the job markets and all that other stuff is really weird, and there's a lot. You're like, what is real? What are people getting jobs? It seems like some people are getting jobs, but then people on LinkedIn or something like that, or some other social media, YouTube even, are having like a hard time finding jobs. I don't know. You can't really tell what's going on, and you don't really know all the answers as to why, but yeah, maybe the internet is ejecting us off of screens and back into physical reality. Maybe the internet is ejecting us off of screens and back into the physical reality. I think that we have to remember that we matter, and the only way to really know that and be able to hold on to that is to remember that if you're a Christian, you have faith. Like, if you're a Christian, you have purpose and meaning that you are aware of and can hold on to the truths and the promises of God. If you're not a Christian, then I think that you need to understand what the gospel is. If we've ever lied, if we've ever stolen, cheated, looked at another person with lust, God sees us as liars, thieves, blasphemers, adulterers at heart. If we looked at another person with lust, God sees that as adultery. And so if God were to judge us by the 10 Commandments, will we be innocent or guilty? Well, we'd be guilty, right? Heaven or hell? Hell. All right, so the question is, do you know what God did for guilty sinners so that we wouldn't have to go to hell? And the answer to that is that we did the crime Jesus Christ paid the fine. If you believe on Jesus Christ, if you just believe on him, then Jesus Christ will give you new heart, new desires, and he will save you. If you just say, God, save me. And the Bible says that those who call upon the name of the Lord will be saved. Belief is very important, right? We have this whole thing with AI, and what you believe truly changes the trajectory of your life. If you believe a certain story about your life, then you will go off of that story and off that history. I always have these conversations with my other friends, and I'm always like, well, if say for instance you were a baby, right, and a person has trained you your entire life to believe a story about your history, where you came from, all this other stuff, and let's say it was a completely awful story, or even a really good story, but let's pretend it was an awful story, right? That baby has this this conception in their own mind about who they are, their background, all that other stuff, and it leads them to lead a certain life, whether they reject that history or whether they struggle with that, having that history and having that background. It really just changes people's life trajectories, what we believe. And so, believing in Jesus Christ changes our life trajectory, but it's not just some mental assent. It truly is. You'll start seeing God moving in your life, and you'll be way more aware of it. Reading the Bible just starts changing your mind in a really big way. So what you believe matters, and I think we're starting to see maybe more atheists perhaps are starting to see that more and more with AI and how it's affecting people. Because I just became a Christian 5 years ago in 2020. I used to be an atheist. And so yeah, the internet's saying, the internet's ejecting you, so I think we have way more control over dealing with this than we know. The fact that no one has made a lawsuit against the billions of copyrighted images, lawsuits against deepfakes or the ability to make deepfakes is an issue. It seems like a lot of us are maybe too cowardly to rock the boat, but I think we have way more control over the situation than we think, and we're kind of just rolling over. But God willing, not for long. Like, maybe I'm praying that we start really raising up and rising up and doing something about this. But I think we have way more control over the situation than we think. And I think we just have to remember that we also, those who are Christians, we are children of God. Those who are not Christians, the invitation is quite open to you. We want you there. We love you. We care about you. And there is a meaning and purpose behind the reason that you're alive right now and dealing with the whole AI thing along with all of us. So I think that God knows the plans that He has for us. Plans for a hope and a future. Plans to prosper us and not to harm us. I think that God is working something for our good, even if we can't see it yet. I think He has something great around the corner for every believer and every person who chooses to believe. That's it.